bringing the big book today. I never do that, but I want to talk to you about the Ten Commandments. This week's Torah portion is the Torah portion that every other Torah portion in Torah is jealous of. Hard to believe. It's true. The reason for that is there is everything in there. It's one of those Torah portions that makes rabbis wonder why the Torah portions in Leviticus were so dry back in June. And here, in just 1 week, we have Shema, we have the Ve'ahavta, and we have the Ten Commandments. This Torah portion has it all. It's really unfair of the other Torah portions. But it's an opportunity for me to talk to you about the Ten Commandments. And it's important to talk about the Ten Commandments because we think we know the Ten Commandments and we don't. The Ten Commandments is one of those texts, biblical texts, that whether you are from Islam, Christianity, or Judaism, you think you know them. I mean, so central to Western civilization, I would say, that all of us have some kind of a sense of what there is to know about the Ten Commandments. Once in a while, when a judge decides that they want to put them on the door of court, we even have controversy and trials, and we live in a secular state. We can't have the Ten Commandments in a court of law. Yet, the reason and the impulse for that is those Ten Commandments are really the basis of our legal system. They are the basis of our moral code. Yet we think we know what they say, but we don't. And I thought I knew what they said until I came to Bet Aleph. I was sure in all my years of yeshiva training, of being a modern Orthodox Jew through my teenage years, spending 2 or 3 years in religious school in Jerusalem, that at least the Ten Commandments, I had an idea of what they meant, of what was there. Thou shalt not murder. That was pretty clear. I could, if asked what the 6th commandment was, I could say pretty confidently, you shall not murder. 7th, anybody? The 7th? Here we are. Shall not steal. The 3rd, everybody knows the 3rd one. I mean, everybody knows the 3rd one, right? Louder. You shall not pronounce the name of God in vain. Or so we think it says. Which has led my grandmother, probably your grandmother, to teach you, or maybe your mother as well, that you should not use the name of God when you swear. You should never say, God damn it. I mean, I see people just going, how can the rabbi use the name of God in vain? It's the 3rd commandment. So we're going to look at the fact that your grandmother, like mine, was wrong. Obviously wrong. So here is the thing. Imagine that once in the creation of the entire universe, God decides to appear to the eyes of the nation, the Hebrew nation, at the foot of Mount Sinai, to give that nation and the world for generations, to tell them in the order of 1 through 10 the most important things that God could ever think of telling people. And you think that the 3rd most important would be, do not swear? I mean, seriously? God would have gone out of God's way to appear at Sinai and say, by the way, guys, don't say God damn it. I mean, come on. That's not right. So clearly, it must mean something else. Can you imagine every time we stubbed our toes? No, can't say that. The Torah says, the Bible says. So what are the Ten Commandments? And I think it's not bad to start with the third one. I like to start with the third one, just because. Why start in order? Do not say the name of God in vain. Do not say the name of God in vain. So what that says already is that the name of God is not God. Right? If the sentence is do not say the name of God in vain, then the name of God is not God. Something else. Right? We all come to believe that the name of God is God. But that doesn't work. That's not logical. The only thing that those three letters are about is, like, in Buddhism they say the finger that points to the moon. It's the finger that points to the moon of something that we don't really know what to name. We can't name. We can't name that which is, because that which is everything. And as soon as we name it, then you've collapsed it into a thing. And God cannot be a thing because God is everything, and God is nothing. God is. Period. You shall not pronounce the name of God in vain. So if we cannot know the name of God, we're in trouble. Because then we cannot apply the third commandment. Then it's a commandment, what we call in Hebrew, levatala, for nothing. And you can't have anything levatala. You cannot have anything that is for nothing. So what you got to do is look through the Torah. Maybe the Torah is telling us what the name of God is. And in fact, once in the Torah, it's a pretty heavy book. Once in the Torah, somebody dares to ask God's name. You would have thought, the first page, so Adam or Eve, first thing you would do is like, okay, so hi, you're God, what's your name? No. You have to wait until the story of the burning bush. Remember that? Moses at the burning bush. You've all seen the movie, Cecil B. DeMille, Charlton Heston, no guns, just him. Arrives at the burning bush, takes off his Converse, his sandals, whatever he was wearing. And he starts arguing with God because God wants to send him to Egypt and he doesn't want to go. He's the reluctant hero, But at some point God says, you know what, you're going to go whether you like it or not, so just pack your stuff, you're going. So Moses reluctantly says, all right, I'm going to go, and I'm going to arrive in Egypt. I'm going to arrive there, and I'm going to tell your people, I'm going to tell the Hebrews, I have come to free you. God has come, has told me, has sent me to free you. God, you know what they're going to say. Moses tells God, dude, you know what they're going to tell me? The first thing they're going to ask me, sure, what's his name? And Moses says to God, so when they ask me that, what should I tell them? The truth is that never in the entire 5 books of Moses, the entire Torah, nobody ever asks Moses that question. But never mind. Now God has a problem. He has to do something. And God says to Moses, Ehyeh asher ehyeh. I am that. I am. I am that. I am. Tell them when you go down to Egypt that I am has sent you. That's what it says in the Torah. I am has sent you. So we have the name of God. The name of God is I am. Okay. Well, that works because now we can go back to the first commandment. The first commandment says, I am. Well, that makes sense. First commandment says, I am, which actually, by the way, it's pretty cool. Think about it. Now here you have the Israelites at the foot of Mount Sinai, and there is this thing that happens. We don't know what that is, but whatever it is. And God says, I am. Like, who in this room would not have wanted to have that happen to them? That God would appear however that looks, for you and said, yes, it's true, I am. I am. Wow. Cool. So God says, first commandment, I am. What I am is, Yod He Vav He Elohecha. Asher hotzeticha me'eretz Mitzrayim. What I am is the transcendent and the immanent. Nothing and everything. That which is prior to creation and all of creation at the same time. That's what I am. That's what the first 3 words of the first commandments are. And I appear to you, I exist for you as this force, this energy, Asher yotzeti etcha me'eretz Mitzrayim, that frees you from the house of bondage. I am that energy that frees you from your places of stuckness in your life. I am that voice within you that tells you, you got to move through this. You got to grow. You got to evolve. That's the I am. That is I am-ing within you, within each of us. That force that is there to liberate us from the confinements of our egocentric tunnel vision. That's the first commandment. Pretty good. Did you know that was the first commandment? Because what I grew up, the first commandment was, which actually, if you really read it, it's not a commandment, but it's a pronouncement. So the word commandment actually is wrong. It's a mistranslation of the Hebrew. The Hebrew is pronouncement. And the first pronouncement is, as I ever read it in my life, I am the Lord, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. It's very different from I am the I am, that is every I am, that is the infinite and the manifest, and the force within you that is there to free you from the tunnel vision of your ego. Whew. Okay. Now that makes sense because now you can read the second commandment in a very different way. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it's several verses, but the first verse says, you shall have no other God beside me. Well, if you have understood the first and the third commandment, that all there is I am, then it's not really you shall have no other God besides me, that you won't have any other God besides me because there's nothing besides me. There can't be anything outside of other than I am, because I am all there is, and I am beyond all there is. So if in your mind you think that there are other gods, then you're not getting it. Then you're just not getting it. You're not understanding the depth of this teaching. So don't make for yourself a sculptured image. Don't bow. Don't have other gods like, idols that you worship, like sports stars or singers or the dollar bill or what's in your bank account or you name it. Because you are putting your own inner power, your own I am, onto something outside of you. That's idol worshiping. All that you need is already here. So now we have the third commandment, obviously. Do not pronounce I am, right? You cannot pronounce the name of God in vain. You cannot. You cannot. This is the third most important thing that God revealed to humanity. You cannot say I am without that having consequences. That's what it says. Every time you're going to say I am, meaning you're going to express and manifest the name of God, I am ... you are becoming a co-creator of a reality that is unfolding through you. So, no, you cannot pronounce the name of God in vain. There's no possibility of you doing that. Because every time you say I am, something appears. Whether you pronounce it verbally or whether you repeat it in your head. I give my kids and the kids that I teach the Bar Mitzvah program this example. You know how we say, I tell them, when you're in school and you're having difficulty in math, for example, and you keep repeating to yourself, I'm really not good at math. I'm really not good at math. I'm really not good at math. I am not good at math. Guess what you are creating? You are creating that reality for yourself. You cannot pronounce I am in vain. You just can't. Be very careful how you use your I am. There are consequences. There are people who have made millions of dollars with self-help books teaching us how to use your words in positive ways, in constructive ways. They understood the third commandment really well. They know that we are deeply creative channels, creatures. So be very careful what you affirm in your life for yourself and when you affirm in the life of others, specifically when you raise kids. You know, we oftentimes are very good at giving names to kids, the lazy one or the whatever, And if you repeat that, you create them in that reality. So we have to be very careful. There are some people that are in politics that are using that to their advantage. Calling names, putting a name after the first name of the person. Crooked. Right? But when you say that, you create a certain kind of reality in people's mind that are hearing it. So be very careful how you use your I am, because you are creating the reality of the world we are having today. That's why it's the third most important commandment, far from do not swear. Very much far from do not swear. Keep the Sabbath. Fourth most important commandment. Keep the Sabbath. Keep time in your life for your soul. Carve out a day in the week for matters of the soul, for meditation, to remove yourself from the preoccupation of the ego. If not, you're going to become dry. You're going to lose an aspect, a dimension of your being. So that's the fourth most important pronouncement. Make sure you carve out some time for your spirit, for your soul matters. 5. Oh, one of my favorite. Honor your father and your mother. Be nice to your mommy. That's the fifth most important commandment. In Hebrew, it says, kaved et avicha ve'et imcha. Oftentimes translated as honor, but also can be translated as heavy. Heavy are the presence of your father and your mother in your life. You're going to have to go to therapy and really analyze how much you have inherited from your ancestry. You have to be really aware of that. It's really important that you pay attention to those family traits that you have carried on, and to do the work you have to do to heal that, so that you can transmit a more open-hearted, clear, less pathological legacy to the descendant. Kaved, your father and your mother are heavy in your life. And you can still honor them, I'm not saying that. Oh, now we get back to the sixth, which was, there's a quiz, people. You shall not murder. So erase the you shall, because it's not a commandment. It's an affirmation. It's a pronouncement. You will not murder. Of course you will not murder. If I am is I am, 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 and that I am is I am-ing through every being that is, that ever was, and ever will be, who are you going to murder? There is no other. That's what the sixth commandment is telling us. There is no other that we can kill. There's only I am. I am that is awakening behind the eyes of every body, of every being. So if you get that, if you really, really, really get that, then you will not murder. You don't have to be commanded to do that or not to do that. It's just, if you really understand, you'll never murder. It won't even come up. You will not steal. Who are you stealing from? You will not steal. There is no stealing if you understand that I am is all the I ams that ever were. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Of course, because your neighbor is you. So why would you want to put a stumbling block in front of his or her path? Why would you want to take them down? You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, crave your neighbor's house, his field, all his possession, or anything that is your neighbor's. No jealousy. You shall not crave anything anyone else has. If I am is I am is I am, whatever you have, I have. I don't need to be jealous of anything you have. We don't need to be jealous of Bill Gates. He's just another expression of I am. Now, I really got this one day. We've been doing the music of one of the musicians of old at Bet Aleph, Stephen Merritt. And at the time, some 10, 15 years ago, I was invited with Rabbi Ted and Stephen Merritt to participate in the opening of a medical cabinet of one of our members. And she wanted to have a mezuzah put on the door of her medical practice. So we all showed up, a bunch of members of the community, and we were in the waiting room, where you wait for your appointment with your doctor. And that's where we put the mezuzah up. And obviously, every time we do something, there's always a little music and a little prayers, some blessings. And Stephen had brought his guitar, and he started just like that, playing 1, 2, 3 gorgeous tunes on his guitar. And I was sitting across the room from him, and I'm looking at him like, God damn it. I wish I could play guitar like that. I wish I could play guitar like that. And I stayed with that, and after a few seconds, I thought to myself, I am playing guitar like that. Look at me, playing guitar like that. I'm just doing it in that body instead of this body. This body is playing another kind of instrument, oftentimes playing this book as an instrument. I don't have to be jealous. What I have to do is to really make sure that I fulfill, that I become the best instrument that I can be in this body, so that I am can really flow freely and clearly through this container that I am. And when this container becomes old and frail and is no longer able to sustain the light of life within it, then the I am will just discard it and find another one to I am again in another way. All of us infinitely continuing on a never-ending journey of self-discovery and expansion and evolution. I am right here, right now. That's the 10 Commandments. And when I heard those 10 Commandments in this way, in 1999, I knew this was home for me. I knew this was the place I wanted to be part of. I knew this was the place I wanted to explore. 12, 15 years in Orthodox world, I had no idea what the 10 Commandments were talking about. I am. If you get I am, it changes life. Because it helps us grow in infinite compassion for all the I ams that are I am-ing everywhere. And sometimes they are I am-ing in ways that are confused. Sometimes they are I am-ing in ways that are unhealthy and dangerous. But they're still all an expression of the I am. So I can hold them in my heart with great compassion. That doesn't mean when they are I aming in ways that are hurtful to others, that I don't need to sometimes put them in jail or whatever I need to do to preserve the rest of us. But I can still hold them in great compassion. I can still know within everybody the spark of I am at the source of their heart. Ehyeh asher ehyeh. It's a song. It's a melody. It's a zikr. It's a mantra. And it's happening right now. You don't need the words on the page. The words are Ehyeh asher ehyeh. And perhaps you close your eyes and you let yourself move in the affirmation that I am. I am the divine being right now. And so are you. Ehyeh asher ehyeh.